politics may not be a very terrible idea, right? This is politics, this is current affairs, this is Eagles Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs, and we also empower you with the knowledge that the power is in the people and that politics is what we address. It is 2 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side, and yes, it is a Tuesday, the 20th day in the month of August of 2024. My name is Udwak Daniel, and to also bring to your eardrums the fact that coupled with all of this been going on, in our dear country, Nigeria, where we have seen issues that border around the NNPCL coming out to saying, oh, we've been able to make some sort of progress in terms of earnings that we have made, the progress that we've made where the NNPC announced a massive profit of 3.3 trillion naira for the 2023 financial year. And it had a dividend of 2.1 trillion naira for its shareholders. This was quite significant, actually, because the increase from the previous year's profit of 2.54 trillion naira, showing a remarkable growth of 749 billion naira. Now, the company's, audited financial statements were also revealed during a media briefing by Chief Pius Akinyelure, chairman of the NNPC Limited board. Right? We've also seen on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers some other issues that border around other concerns, fuel queues, and here and there. But that's not exactly what we will be talking this morning, as we'll be looking at, the Niger Delta states. Now, I'm talking about the oil-producing states of Niger Delta in Nigeria, and we'll also look at, their concerns and what we saw from the dailies as at yesterday, where we saw an ex-rep member who had come out, to speaking audaciously and saying that he has been raising questions or questioning the Niger Delta's governor's management of the 13% oil derivation fund. I mean, I feel something that we should look into. Hence, the Niger Delta governor's management of 13% oil derivation fund is what we're looking into. Now, a former member of the House of Representatives, now he's in the person of Dr. Farah Dagogo. He has criticized the management of the 13% oil derivation fund by governors of the Niger Delta region, and he had also cited precisely, the mismanagement of an unaccountability as being the bane of it. Despite, receiving trillions of naira, the region remains underdeveloped, with people living in poverty and lacking basic amenities. Now, Dr. Farah, he's a former member of the House of Representatives. He has expressed that concern over the utilization of the 13% oil derivation fund allocated to oil-producing communities by governors of the Niger Delta region. Now, the fund is meant to address infrastructural decay and environmental degradation, and has received trillions of naira over the past 23 years, with 600 billion naira received in the first half of 2024 alone. However, though, the region remains underdeveloped, and the people, of course, are living in poverty. Basic amenities are very lacking in that region, and you should also recall that in 2021, a similar concern was raised by a non-governmental organization which alleged that the funds were being mismanaged by the governors. And similarly as well, in 2020, a report by the National Assembly had revealed that the funds were not also being used for their intended purposes. Right now, there are some key points to what Dagogo had to say. Well, the 13% oil derivation fund is meant to support oil-producing communities in addressing, I'm stressing again, addressing infrastructural decay and environmental degradation. And despite the receiving large sums, the region remains underdeveloped, with people living in poverty and lacking basic amenities. So it might us trying to look away now from the federal government and saying, okay, maybe it's time we began to look at the NDDC itself, the Niger Delta Development Commission. Maybe it's time we began to look at the oil-producing state governors. Maybe it's time the beam lights, the searchlight, ponders just a little bit on those who are at the helms of affairs in coordinating as well as educating or administering whatever it may be that the Niger Deltans, are supposed to see as an essential, from the 13% oil derivation, right? And Dr. Farah Dagogo also alleged mismanagement and unaccountability by the governors. And in fact, this might just be a softer way of saying corruption or corrupted governors, in his words, who are not doing the needful in ensuring that the 13% oil derivation fund is indeed put into what it should be put into. Keep in mind, I brought to you the fact that there have been reports of mismanagement of these funds, and it seems as though nothing is being done, about it. Now, these governors who treat the funds as free money rather than using them for their intended purposes. And then it brings to you the question of, hey, are these governors aliens from the community to which they are governors? Are they aliens? Because if they are not aliens, if they actually hail from these communities, it will be so saddening, it will be almost devilish. It will be insane, insensitive, intolerable. I'm looking for the adjectives now. I don't get it. But it will be just sheer wickedness, right? To not put these funds into use in addressing the very concerns of the people living in your state where you are the principal sole administrator. It will be. It will be. And even if any of such governors from past administration or even up until this administration still come out and say, oh, when we got there, the civil servants that were working there, they told us that this is how it used to be. This is how we used to do things. Because, of course, the civil servants now have been under the knife for quite some time now. As being, very corrupt. The ones aiding and abetting some of these politicians in doing, serving, injustice. Being unjust. Not being equitable. Right? Aha. So, even if any governor would come out to say, oh, well, it's something that I met, it's just an unwritten document, unwritten law, so I had to just abide by it. The question would now be, are you not from these communities? Do you not see the hunger, the pain, the poverty, the lack, the stress, the hardship that your people are going through? Are you not feeling the pains? Are you not seeing it? Are you removing yourself, exempting yourself? As long as maybe your family and your family well-wishers are better, you're fine? Doesn't it bother you? But let's go take some of the statements right there, because they say common sense is not common. But then Dr. Farah Dagogo, who's a former member House of Representatives, had said the 13% derivation fund is meant to help oil-producing communities address infrastructural decay and environmental, degradation, but it's being mismanaged by the governors. Now, Nyesom, we say, Wike, real estate, the former real estate governor, had said, we have used the funds to develop infrastructure and provide amenities for our people, right? And we also saw as a contributor, Honorable Fred Agbedi, who's a member of the House of Representatives, saying the National Assembly will investigate the allegations of mismanagement and ensure that the funds are used for their intended purposes. And of course, Dr. One time, Dr. Former Minister of Petroleum, that's for petroleum though, Dr. Ibe Kachuku had said the funds should be used to develop oil-producing communities and provide amenities for the people. Now, former governor of Edo State, Comrade Adams Oshomole, had said the governors should be held accountable for the mismanagement of funds. And that brings us to having a discourse with our guest in the person of Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye. He's an information professional of policy and public affairs analyst. Mr. Benedict, welcome to the conversation this morning.
Good morning.
Yes, please. Good morning to you, and welcome aboard. I mean, we have gone over and over and over again. Just recently, of course, an ex-rep member had come out to saying that, look, hey, probing, in fact, asking questions about the 13% oil derivation fund. And let me also bring it to your eardrums because I don't know. You might also want to separate for us, the idea of a 13% derivation fund, whether it's is the same as the monthly allocation from the center, because Nigerians might want to know that as well, right? Is the 13% derivation fund the same as the monthly allocation from the center? Maybe we'll take it up from that.
No, I think percent derivative is quite different from fact allocation.
Right.
Now, you call it derivative, and obviously that is meant for the oil and mineral producing states.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a function of what volume is being extracted or being realized from each of the states. Now, we might need to start at this. I think there is a wrong national notion where people believe that money is everything. You don't throw money at problems.
Mm.
So when you throw the money will eventually go the wrong way. But we've got to now be more concerned as to how do we come up with a budget. You manage money by spending, not by just throwing them. So at the working system, in most cases, you have a top-down approach. I think in communities being required to be
Mr. Benedict. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Benedict.
Right.
I think. Okay, we'll just have to, put a call to you again. For some reason, I don't know, the network has been playing some tricks with us. But then there are some concerns that you and I should be very interested in. One of such concerns will be the place of the fact that the mismanagement of the 13% oil derivation fund by governors of the Niger Delta region, that is one concern, right? And then the question will now be, how can D funds be managed effectively, right, to address infrastructural decay and environmental degradation, right, in the oil producing communities? And another would be the lack of transparency, accountability in the utilization of these funds. And then how can the governors then be held accountable for mismanagement of the funds? Do we have to go back to previous governors, maybe starting from when we began the democratic journey up until now? Or what exactly should we indeed do in the face of all of this? And the place of underdevelopment in the oil producing communities is yet another one, despite large funds and allocation. Well, Mr. Benedict, we lost the call for a while just because there was a little bit of glitch, couldn't hear you properly and all of that, but I'm sure we can hear you now. Are you there?
Yeah, what
Yes,
I was saying
yes,
is when you
yes.
talk about management of funds, there
Okay,
has to be proper budget.
okay.
And budgeting for these communities should be from the grassroots discoveries, not just the decision of somebody in the state capital. You won't come from Asaba to build a school in Patani when obviously the people cannot even get to the school. I've seen schools in some places in the Niger Delta. The road are flooded, the children can't get there, but one beautiful school is built somewhere. Now, you need to look at transportation, you need to look at accessibility, you need to look at the living condition of the people before you start talking about what you are doing for them. So the right way to manage funds is by budgeting, and then when there is a budget, and there is transparency, then people can monitor it. But when the entire process and procurement and contracting process are opaque, then how do you hold everybody accountable? You can hold somebody accountable for what you don't know about. But there is a template that says, okay, this community requires this, that community requires that, this road is required for this number of community, these bridges has got to be done. And then when those things are awarded, we also have a list that shows who was awarded what and for what purpose.
Right.
Then it becomes possible for the press and the people to connect with the project. Monitoring and evaluation will not happen in a vacuum. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it's not about somebody from outside throwing a proposal, bringing it in, because they are close to the governor or to people in power, then there is funds and the funds are allocated. No. Projects and proposals should be based on the need of the people at the grassroots. And it should be very clear what is to be done, what the contracts involve, and then the people can monitor, and the press can monitor, and the civil society can monitor. But when you are not involved, when there is no transparency, when there is no sincerity, 10,000 EFCC will not ensure that the funds are not mismanaged.
All right, but don't you think that the NDDC, has a role to play in this regard, in ensuring at least project facilitation, just as you've mentioned, funding support, regional development, environmental remediation, the community engagement and all of that, capacity building and all of that, not to also forget the part you've also mentioned, which is about monitoring and evaluation. Do you think the NDDC has a role to play?
Well, NDDC is a separate body from 13% derivative, which is in the state.
Understood.
Now, what the state is doing, should be doing with their 13% is what NDDC is expected to do what the state cannot do.
Oh.
Now, the state should operate between the communities. NDDC is supposed to connect projects that will link the 9 Niger Delta states. For instance, NDDC started the East-West road repairs, and for donkey years, that road is still not completed. NDDC have a lot of abandoned projects when you also run around the creeks of the Niger Delta. So the thing is still the same thing. NDDC has a budget. The budget comes to the Senate approves the budget. Contracts are awarded, but the projects are abandoned. So you ask the question, where is the Senate in terms of their oversight function? What is the House of Rep doing in terms of their oversight function? Where are our NGOs? Where are the civil society group? Where is SERAP on the abandoned project in NDDC? It's not just about suing the federal government. Like we've always said, sue the specific agencies and the companies that have these projects and have abandoned them. When you sue the federal government, you get a judgment that is not enforceable. Right? You get a judgment that is not enforceable. But when you sue NDDC or an NDDC contractor,
right,
and you get a judgment, then that judgment becomes enforceable.
All right.
But when you sue the federal government for NDDC project, of course, the Minister of Justice has so much to think about than to have the time to pay attention to that. So, like I would always say, we don't just need to do things right, we should learn to do the right thing.
So,
and the right thing,
yeah.
Now,
well, just before we get into all of that, I see a message via the WhatsApp, that's saying, is it still the same, the derivation fund and the monthly allocation from the center? Okay, I'll just very quickly put it out there. Just as, our guests have said, no, they are quite different. Now, the 13% derivation fund is a statutory allocation that is given to oil-producing states as a percentage of the revenue generated from oil production in their area. Now, this fund is also meant to address infrastructural decay, environmental degradation, and provide amenities for the oil-producing communities. While, on the other hand, the monthly allocation from the center refers to the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC allocation. And this one is a monthly distribution of revenue from the federal government to the states and local governments. And this allocation is based on predetermined formula, right? And it's not specific to oil producing states. And there are some questions about how can the funds be managed effectively? Of course, Mr. Benedict, you have mentioned, conversations about that. And how can the governors now be held accountable is yet another angle, to this discourse. And what measures can be taken to ensure transparency in the process? And of course, finally, how can the funds be used to address poverty and provide basic amenities? Mr. Benedict, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
So
here.
do you think that the governors can indeed be held accountable, and how can we hold them accountable at this point in time?
Well, the governors can be held accountable by their respective houses of assembly. The governors can be held accountable by the stakeholders. And by stakeholders, we mean the people of the state. We mean the people in the locality. We mean the people in the oil producing region. Right? They are able to say, look, put forward their demand and follow up. Now, of course, governors have immunity, so you cannot even prosecute them while they are in office. However, you can stand up to at least put the facts and the figures there. Even if they don't listen while they are in office, when they are out of office, those facts and figures become evidence and basis by which they can be diligently prosecuted and be made to account for what they did wrong while they held sway in power. But the problem has been that of everybody abandoning the process. And like I said, it is not you don't throw money at problems. We have thrown money at hunger, and hunger is still there. Now, I'm from the West. There is this saying, the Yoruba man say, oh, if you will follow where it be. That is, you cannot cut corners. You cannot use an haphazard approach or a formlessness approach. Good. That's when we use the word of disagreeing, 48 laws of power. Formlessness cannot be used to escape hunger. You have to be organized, you have to be planned to plan, and you have to work at it. So there has to be that grassroots connectedness, there has to be processes, there has to be procedures, there has to be standards. It is when those things are said that you begin to monitor and you evaluate. But in the absence of those metrics, you can be sure that there would always be a waste and there will be inconsistencies.
All right.
Some governors possibly will claim they have applied the fund well. We have the former governor in Akwa Ibom, that's the Senate president, did a number of things that we can see on street roads, drainages, and the likes. Yes, we saw Wike in Rivers doing a number of things, but you cannot say the same of most of the other governors.
Well, some have said
in some states.
Yeah, well, some have said that some of the measures. Yeah, some have said that some of the measures that could have been taken to ensuring that these governors are held accountable, and of course get to show for the things they use what they spend the 13% derivation on would be for them to publish detailed reports on fund allocation and utilization, to establish a robust monitoring and evaluation framework, involve communities in the decision-making process, ensure that contracts are awarded transparently. But do you think that we have followed all of these processes so far, in the administering of the 13% derivation so far, from experience? Are you there?
What is this?
Okay.
There's super in Undo, there is the super deck. And this to lie the funds. Now, the question we want to ask is, agency, how representative are they of the people in the oil producing area? That would be the first thing. Number two will be, like I said, what is the standard operating procedures for them to follow? Now, transparency, we cannot rule that out.
Right.
Without transparency, we won't get any result. You need, like I said, there should be a need analysis.
Hello?
Yeah, there should be a need analysis which will come from the grassroots.
Okay.
And then based on need analysis, that's where the budget should be formed. That means that the project will be owned by the people and run by the agency. And at that point, you will know when there is gap, you will know what needed to be done and what is not to be done. But when the people are not involved in the conception and execution of the project, then of course there is no way that proper monitoring can happen. So
Right.
to a large extent.
Okay, let me ask
So
you, Mr. Benedict. Let me come at you with this question, and I'm sure quite a number of Nigerians, especially those who have families or who hail from the Niger Delta region or from one of the oil-producing states, might probably have this question in their mind. Now, couldn't this 13% derivation funds not be used, or let me put it this way: could the governors, or couldn't the governors of these not come together and say, you know what, let's use our 13% derivation and put together a refinery? Wouldn't that have gone a long way? Or is there no possibility to that? Are you there?
well, the line is breaking.
Okay, I'll have to reach out to you again in a short bit, right? But anyways, that is a salient question that is in the hearts of quite a number of not just Niger Deltans, but all have been collecting, receiving 13% oil derivation and then putting it together with the FAC allocations, especially with the empowered FAC allocation. Ever since we said subsidy was gone, couldn't you all just come together and say, you know what, maybe we should put down a refinery that is run by us, right? So that subsequent administrations would carry on with this, and it might become visionary. It might just become the way forward. It might just become our plan for the future of our states in developing, such that whatever comes as a proceed from this refinery that we will put together, it will indeed help in ameliorating or making things better a lot, firstly for the peoples of our region, and then to the larger society, talking about Nigeria. Well, I've got some bills to pay. I'll just go quickly, pay these bills. I'll be right back in a short bit, right? And when I do come back, of course, it will be about you taking your calls, getting your reaction, and then talking in the most civil and responsible way. This is Eagles Outlook. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area, eh?
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello, everyone. This is a special invitation to tune in to Eagles 102.3 FM for the Safe Spare Connect program with Town Planner Ibrahim MT, the safety doctor. If you are looking for more information and guidance on the morality of life, health, safety, security, and the environment, then this is the show for you. Join us every Tuesday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. for an hour of insightful discussions, expert interviews, and engaging segments that will keep you informed and safe. Don't miss out. Mark your calendars and make sure to tune in to Eagles 102.3 FM. Stay safe, stay informed, and connect with Safe Spare Connect.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
Right, this is still Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, where we give you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day with status and strong authority, because we have the arm of assurance and we have got the bragging right. Guess who gave it to us? You did. You can get across social media platforms because we have a strong presence there, and get connected, to the discourse via the social media platforms where we have a strong presence. Talking about YouTube, get there, subscribe, and give us a comment as well. Get onto the X handle and be sure to give us a comment as well. Give us a share, give us a tweet, whatever it is that you might do just to ensure that you were there at Eagles FM Abuja. On Facebook as well at Eagles FM Abuja. Do the same. Give us a like, a following, a comment, a share. We would love that very much. And we are also very strong on TikTok and Instagram, right? So get on there and see that what I say is the truth. Then still looking at, an ex-rep member coming out to fingering the mismanagement, according to him, of the 13% oil derivation fund, and taking your thoughts on it. But we should also let you in on the fact that, our guest has been, and it still is, Mr. Benedict Olalikon Agunloye. He's an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst. As you put your questions straight to the point so that we can just allow time for every other family member to join the discourse as well. And you can as well get onto the WhatsApp portal number and give us your thoughts. Please, no voice notes, just your WhatsApp message will do, and we will appreciate that one. Now, I see a couple of messages via the WhatsApp portal, but just before I go on there, let me speak with Mr. Benedict on this particular question, and of course, we will jump into your questions. Mr. Benedict, now my point exactly, can you hear me? Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Well, there are some thoughts that Nigerians have, and one of such would be, couldn't the, oil-producing state governors who are beneficiaries of this 13%, derivation fund come together and say, you know what? We have seen what, oil, the refineries issue in Nigeria is causing. Maybe we should domicile a refinery and build it together as a conglomerate. We say, okay, we're coming together as our states, and saying this is a refinery we're putting together from these monies. Wouldn't that have gone a long way?
Well, the fund of the derivation fund is not meant, if you ask me per se, to build refineries. Any state that wants to build refinery should build refinery from their FAC with partnership.
Okay.
That fund is meant for development of the environment.
But when
we need to drive more is that, like I said, the State Assembly, the Cultural Association, the Community Development Association, the civil society should demand to see the borough, whatever project it is in Imo, Abia, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa, it goes into them. We know that the funds are going there. So it's a function of, and we must follow the money. Let us see that they are matching the funds received with budget of whatever project that they have, and that the projects are being done, and that the budgets are based on need analysis of the people.
Right.
Analysis. Who is responsible for inputs into the need analysis? How do we follow up the procurement process? Then who monitors the projects?
Right. All right, let me put a peg to your thoughts.
Who monitors the project?
Yeah, let me put a peg to your thoughts, and let's hear from family members now. I'm seeing a message right here now. Good morning. Okay, Abbas. Okay, I guess you made a little bit. Okay, no, that will be for Vika. Let's go see this one from James, all the way from Suleja. James says, the truth is the mismanagement of the oil derivation fund to states is more of the same, being faced with the mismanagement of local government allocations. So long as governors remain emperors in their state and control their state assembly, the issue of accountability is and will always be a mirage. Aside the 13% derivatives, oil companies also set aside 3% of their operating expenses, which goes directly to their host communities. Each of these states set up oil-producing areas development commission made up of representatives of these oil-producing communities who are placed on fat salaries and allowances. And with the setting up of NDDC, they've all found the perfect excuse to abandon the development of the oil-producing communities. This is where local government autonomy comes in. Until local government enjoys absolute autonomy from the electioneering process down to their functions and operations, then the issue of accountability and transparency lines a little bit, fuzzy this morning. But Mr. Benjamin, you've heard, Mr. Benedict, I beg your pardon, you've heard James from Suleja.
Yeah, I heard him. But you see, local government autonomy will not solve that of oil 13% derivative. What will solve 13% is what we have stated, and that is that you already have a PADEC in place. The head of the commission is not the governor. The head of the commission does not have immunity against prosecution. So if SERAP and the other NGOs and the other civil society group that claim to be following money and transparency can actually hold on this board chairman, right? And then you can follow the process. Under Freedom of Information Act, you can then say, okay, we need to know what is the need analysis of Rivers State? What is the need analysis in Bayelsa? What is the budget of the SOPADEC in Delta? And how is the budget applied? If there are errors, the contractors do not have immunity. The chairman of the SOPADEC does not have immunity. It is only the governor and the deputy that have immunity. So these people appointed by the governor can be challenged, can be prosecuted, anything to. I really don't think that is a scenario that will help us for long. But when we focus on those the governor has appointed, right? And we focus on those contractors that have been given the money, and the money is followed, there will be better utilization, and then there will be consequences for bad habit. So if the governor who appointed them cannot punish them for mismanagement because they are doing it for him, the law can punish them for the responsibility assigned to them. Do you get what you are saying?
Yeah.
There is NDDC. You cannot try the president, for instance, for anything in the immediate because of immunity, but NDDC chairman can go to jail. But have we been able to get any of them to court to answer for their things? Other than go to Senate sometimes, we watch a soap opera, and then the soap opera ends without reasonable conclusion. So I think it is more of prosecuting and following up on the appointed people, monitoring the project that they claim they have started. By now, there should be a list somewhere in the press telling us how many the SOPADEC abandoned projects exist. What is the cost of fulfilling the projects that are fulfilled, that are done? How many NDDC abandoned projects are there? How many NDDC in the Northeast abandoned projects are there? Nobody is monitoring this. And I think that is what the civil society should do, even if we say that the elected representatives are too weak to do that.
Right. Well, anyways, there are some implications that that also accrue from all of this. The mismanagement of the 13% oil derivation fund has also led to a decline in the standard of living in the oil-producing, communities. One of the implications as well would be the underdevelopment in the oil-producing communities has led to social unrest and insecurity, and the poverty and lack of basic amenities in the oil-producing communities have also led to a lack of trust in the government and the governors. There are some expectations that Nigerians have. One of such would be the fact that Nigerians expect the government to take concrete steps to addressing the mismanagement of the funds. We are also expecting that governors would be held accountable for the mismanagement of the funds. And there is also widespread expectation about the funds being used to develop the oil-producing communities and provide amenities for the people. But, oh, come on, I don't know what's going on with the phone lines now. I just want to say that I see your calls, and we appreciate it, though. But let's come with you, Mr. Benedict, as a way forward. How do you feel that this situation should be probed? Are we to go back from the time of when we got democracy, or are we just to begin with the current administration governors?
Well, like I said, yes, it's always better to start from where you are and look forward. When you stabilize, you can decide to view the past. But again, when you talk about abandoned projects, people from the past will definitely be held accountable for their roles in stalling the projects. They will definitely have to come up. And I'm sure that by the time you see a project that has been abandoned for 7 years, most likely the current governor is not the one that started it. The current chairman in the super deck or whatever paddock it is called will also not be the one that share it. And so we will be able to get into the root of some of the matter. There may be fund recovery, but one thing is sure, let the focus be on those who have responsibility for delivering the development services for which the funds are meant. Not just the governor, but the appointees of the governor who are directly responsible to the people. There is also the need for a focus on the representative of the communities. A good number of community representatives are also not there representing the community, they are there representing their pocket. So you're talking about people who are looking at privileges and not responsibilities, who see their position as an opportunity to live larger than life and not an opportunity to serve. But when you have stakeholders, which include the press, sitting them up to their responsibilities, then you will realize that, yes, they will fight back, but the evidence will be in place, and those who can take them to court, I keep saying that, we need to ventilate litigations against the individuals that can be prosecuted, rather than stay around and complaining about the governors. There are people the governors have appointed, there are people the president has appointed who are doing the wrong thing and can be taken to court based on the instrument of their office, which determines their terms of what they should be doing. And so if they fail in that responsibility, I think that social responsibility on the people can actually challenge them legally.
Right. Okay.
And that will not amount to challenging. And we said when you build the cases, when the governors are out of office, you will have evidence to deal with them appropriately.
All right, let's take this call. Hello and good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, please.
My name is GB.
All right, GB.
Good morning.
From Life Camp.
Good morning.
Right.
My brother there.
Yeah.
Olalikon.
Yes.
You are really spoken very well. The starting the derivative is different from federal allocation.
Exactly.
It does that first because it derivative, meaning that the oil they derive, gas and other things they derive from those communities, from those states, is generating the revenue for the government. So they call it derivative. So it's based on that, they deduct that 13%. And the sharing among the states are not the same. It's according to the number of volume or the quantity or kind of the derivative they get from each state. So it's not the same to all this. They don't share equally. I think the highest paid in Niger is the Delta state that collect the highest derivative from that 13%. He get the highest. The lowest is a Cross River, thereabouts. So what am I saying is that the reason why we don't see the effect of this or this in the state is because the governor and the elite, political elite, so to say, are the ones who did not want it to happen. And as I said in your introduction, it's wicked and it's unthinkable that they will bring their people to poverty and penury. If you go to that place, you will not believe that oil is coming from Niger Delta. See, today, some communities don't have even power. They have not seen electricity in their life, and the oil is coming from that place. Why? Because instead of using this money for the people, they shared it. Let me tell you, nobody outside the state will go and collect contracts in those places for that or the unpaid for the rest. There is a lead the position that get the contract, but they don't do it and they get paid. So nobody to ask questions, because anybody to ask questions is already bought over. And that's the reason why Lekon is saying that, look, let's go after the chairman or the officer in charge of those agencies who's supposed to carry out that tax. But what will you do? You can EFCC cannot do that unless there's a petition from the community or from the state against them.
Right.
That's the only time. By law of EFCC, you have to issue a petition against an organization, against a body or individual before you can start to investigate.
Okay.
Based on that, it's difficult for you to probe and get to the root of the management of that derivative. So I'm telling you that the state that today were made poor by their own leader, by their own people. And
right.
it's a painful thing. It's the act of wickedness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, GB, for that one. Now, GB has given his thoughts on that. You two can do the same. And I see a message right here, and this one comes, he says, kudos to our guest on his take on the various civil societies and NGO engaging in political and sensationalized court battles against the federal government while turning blind eyes to the main problem. At the end of the day, it's all about them getting their donations from their foreign sponsors and not necessarily about holding government accountable. When we are ready to hold government accountable, we would all understand that state governors are our major problem, and so far we've continued to turn blind eyes on them while fixated on the federal. Alamin from Central Area. All right, thank you, Alamin, for that one. Now, going away from that, I see this one now okay, I don't see a name to it, so you might as well want to add your name to it. You know I'm talking to you, so please add a name to your message, or if I'm not mistaken, this must be Joshua from Suleja. All right, he says, okay, good AM, Udwak, Daniel. Okay, good AM to you. It will not be out of place for the oil-producing states coming together to effect such a project as refinery for the benefit of their communities and states and Nigeria at large. It will promote regional integration and help the people on a large scale as they benefit from direct and indirect job opportunities. Thank you, Joshua from Suleja. But please, next time, add your name to the message. Okay, I see this one. It's coming from Yusuf from Wuse 2. It says, good morning, UD. Good morning to you. The easiest way of ensuring accountability in the spending of Derivation Fund is to have a legal framework on items and projects. The funds can be applied instead of leaving it to the discretion of the governor. The law should also provide for sanction for breach. Okay, have a nice day, Yusuf is saying. Thank you, Yusuf, for that. We'll just take this call right about now, and maybe before we call it a close. Hello and good morning. Yes, good morning to you. Yes, good morning, BBM fine. Thank you.
Okay,
where are you calling from? Where are you calling from?
I greet everybody. I greet my brother, a man of microphone, and my dad, everybody that contributed this morning.
Yeah.
See, I want to
BB, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Where are you calling from, please?
Yeah. Oh, where am I calling from?
Yes,
you
yes.
Of right? I'm calling from Edo State. Come and see me where I'm calling from. You want to know where we are calling from. Please,
Okay.
where you put our president, I need my private jet now.
It's all
what
right.
I want to say, I greet our guests in the studio.
Okay.
I want to ask this local economy, this money where they transfer for there. which account where we don't open, where we say the money where we go they monitor the money. Now the same senator will see they monitor the money for us.
Which money, Bibi? I'm trying to understand.
Not the local autonomy they talk.
No. That's not what we're talking about, Bibi. We're talking about.
Okay, what you people talking about?
Okay. We're talking about we're talking about the 13% derivation from the oil producing states. That's what we're talking about. You might as well want to listen in so that you can know how to come through.
Let me tell
Thank
you. Even though I know this feeling from beginning.
Okay.
The one way they bother my mind now. Who do that? I think we are suffering enough for our country, Nigeria.
Okay.
They say we know they pay taxes. Now, this man come out to say...
Bibi, I beg your pardon. For want of time, that's not what we're talking about. Sorry. All right? So, okay. Well, I know she has a lot to say and all of that. I mean, the Nigerian talk and conversation is something that's broad, and it's always an ongoing conversation. But then we had to take that out. Always, let's focus on the conversation. Well, as a final thought, Mr. Benedict Oladekun Agunloye, what would be your final thought, in the discourse, especially when quite a number of persons are beginning to say that the mismanagement of the 13%, derivation fund has led to underdevelopment in the oil-producing communities, and that there is a need for high transparency and accountability in the utilization of this fund. How do you spill the bean in this one?
Yeah, there won't be any form, like I said at the beginning.
Yes, please.
There must be a need analysis that is made available to all, getting the needs of the communities. And of course, for those who are talking about refinery, each of the states can afford a modular refinery. You don't need a cooperation of states to build mega. Modular refineries will be manageable and will be controllable within the state with any other partners the state will choose to go into. That would be a better approach than you having a group of states owning the refinery. Modular refineries are modern and smart way to at least go forward.
Okay.
Derivation fund is meant for development at the grassroots, and the fund should be so applied. And as for SERAP and other civil society organizations, they should learn to deal with the individual executing agencies as against focusing every time on suing the federal government and getting judgments that are not enforceable. They should deal at the level where the judgment is enforceable and where people can be held accountable.
Right,
That's the way we'll be going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict Oladekun Agunloye. You are an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst, and you've added your voice loudly and clearly in the most expose way on the topical issue, Niger Delta Governor's management of 13% of the derivation. We will look forward to having more fruitful conversation with you in the coming days.
You're welcome.
Right. And this is where we call it a close on Eagles Outlook. I want to especially thank you, each and every one of us that has sent a message via the WhatsApp portal. You've called one way or the other. You've contributed to the discourse this morning. You are indeed the one that is building this country, because our voices has got to be heard loudly and clearly, and we appreciate you in no small measure. Right. Tomorrow is yet another time, and we will go conversational. But for now, I want to say have a great day, and please keep it tuned, keep it locked on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, because top of the hour 10 will be time for the midday extra show right here on this platform. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This is Eagles 102.3 News, your number one radio experience you can count on.